he was travelling through Heathrow and various other airports with a 3-foot rubber penis.
Kill me. Put it in here, and hard. Jab it in, I'll cut that. Cut it.
You have ruined my day. I've had a nice one, and now I'm just depressed.
Je parle avec un accent terrible Yorkshire.
Keep rolling.
Yeah.
I'm Jeremy Clarkson. I'm on It's Gone Viral, and we're doing Who's Most Likely?
He's a bit of a prima donna. He once complained that the Range Rover that came to pick us up from the airport was the wrong colour. I'm not going to say any more than that.
Because of the moaning. Honestly, we did a film when he and I were travelling through an airport, and we were complaining about... Sorry, no, he was complaining about how far it is to walk to check-in, or from check-in to the plane. And he did this immensely long rant, and everyone thought, oh, that was really clever, you wrote and did... No, that's what he does. It's intensely irritating, so there's only one answer to that.
May often needs to go to the lavatory for his number twos, but only as you just arrive at an airport, the car's there, oh, wait a minute, I need to go to the lavatory. Or just before you're leaving to go and catch a plane. So Richard and I have worked out that when we get to the pearly gates, when we're dead, we're going to ask Peter for our James May poo time back. And we reckon we can get another 3 or 4 weeks of life for the amount of time we've wasted waiting around for him, because he always takes a crossword with him. Oh, well, you see, there we are. It's most interesting doing the crossword here as I do my number twos. With no concept, he's holding 70 people up.
Only because, am I allowed to say this? He did once, we once travelled to, which country did we go to? Namibia. And he produced a giant rubber dildo to put on my car, which is something he sort of quite likes to do. But that must have meant it was in his luggage. So he was travelling through Heathrow and various other airports with a 3-foot rubber penis in his bag.
He did do that, yes. It's pretty unpleasant. None of us. No, I never get seasick. I don't think we did.
He was sort of sick on me once in a boat, in a small boat trip, so yeah, he's not good at that sort of thing.
No, I don't think we would get seasick.
Hammond was once on television being sick, but I happened to know while he was in a boat. Being in a boat had nothing to do with why he was being sick, and the enormous amount of wine he'd drunk the night before did.
We're hardened travellers. You're pretty tough.
I don't think there is necessarily a worse thing that you can suffer from. I mean, obviously, for the first 20 minutes, you genuinely are worried you're going to die. And then for the next 20 minutes, you're genuinely worried that you might not. I mean, you just sit there going, kill me. Go into the kitchen drawer in the boat, get a knife and put it in here, and hard. Jab it in, I'll cut that. Cut it. It's a dreadful thing, debilitating disease. I'm going to go for worst. Hammond and I have both got pilot's licenses, so we're qualified navigators. That's the truth of it. Best is me, because I've got sat-nav on my phone and I keep my data roaming on, unlike the other two mean heads. And James, hotel once in Sao Paulo in Brazil. We checked in late. We'd come in from Iquique in Chile. Very late, I don't know, 2, and we had to get up quite early, about 6 or something. So we had 3 or 4 hours. Go into the room, put our heads down for flight home. I went off to my room and I got up in the morning and James May was still walking the corridors with his suitcase looking for his room. You can be a good 40 minutes knowing he's somewhere in the hotel. Oh, wait a minute, opening fire escapes. No, wait, this isn't it. And he says that when he thinks of Britain and he's trying to navigate his way from, say, London to Nottingham, he has to turn Britain upside down in his head to work out which way to go.
Right, this is a complicated answer. Worrying suspicion it might be Jeremy, but I'm certainly not going to say that. The worst is Mr. James May. I mean, he'd deny it, but he gets lost in hotels, and he does. He gets lost in his own room. And the best, I've put me, only because that's the only nice thing that you've had so far that we could attribute to one of us. So I'll attribute it to me.
I'm going to go JC. I did share a tent with him in the North Pole many years ago in the Top Gear era, and he accuses me of snoring and all sorts of things, but actually Jeremy Clarkson sort of talks in his sleep. He gets into his sleeping bag and he puts it over his head, and then he does this sort of Tourette's swearing and muttering thing, so it's like being in a tent with a blasphemous maggot. It's really unpleasant.
Now, I don't want to hurt him with this, I don't care. It's Jeremy. Simply because I'd rather with James, because James likes what he calls itchy prison blankets. It's weird. Whereas Jeremy wouldn't shut up, and then I'd have gone to prison for whatever I've gone to prison for, traffic offence, but then I'd have to stay in prison because I would have committed murder.
I can't really do accents. Jeremy can do sort of French accents quite well. I don't really, apart from a bit of West Country, I can't really do accents.
Parce que, comme je parlais français, je ne sais quoi, mais je parlais avec un accent terrible Yorkshire. Ça fait difficile pour moi à comprendre, mais that's what happens. I don't know why, but I always think French should have a Yorkshire accent. And I give it one. I give it a Yorkshire accent. So when my girlfriend rings to order a curry, she always does it in an Indian accent, which I think's racist. But she says, no, it just makes it easier for me to be understood. I'm like, oh, yeah. So she's Irish, but with that is a mad accent.